came from my parents. They started me on piano lessons at the age of 7. And there was a professor from Mexico that lived here, and he would come every week to give me instructions, and I had him for about, I'd say 5-6 years. And that was the beginning of my love for music. And then my grandparents and my mother, they're from Guadalajara, Jalisco. And I would go, my brother and I would go every summer, starting at the age of 8 until I was 15. Every summer we would go to Guadalajara, and that's where I loved what I heard. The music was mariachi music. And every night while we were in Guadalajara, my grandparents would take us down to the plaza, and we would hear this type of music. And that's where the love for the cultural programs and I want to investigate how can we get programs like this into public schools. Mm-hmm. And that was the beginning.
That's the beginning.
One of them, of course, was spending the evenings and the days in Guadalajara, and it's a totally different culture from what what I'm used to or was used to in San Antonio. It was breathtaking to see the musicians and the festive moods and the fiestas that they would provide for us. That's very beautiful in my mind. Secondly, I think the highlights of my life has been going with my daughter, Leticia Van de Pute. She was selected as co-chair for the Democratic Party, and it was a very special thing because it united my daughter and I even more so. Mm-hmm. We're very much alike, but all 5 of my children are like that. But meeting and being with her and meeting the president was unbelievably beautiful. Another was having Campanas play at the White House for several presidents. Campanas y America has performed for every president since President Ford. And there are 6 that they have performed for. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of my children. Outstanding individuals in their own rights. They're not the same, but they have chosen different careers, and I'm very proud in what each and every one of them does. I have 5 children. And then, of course, the heartbeat of my heart happens to be my husband. Mm-hmm. And he was right there with me, encouraging the students that I taught at Lanier High School, and the students that I had at San Antonio College, and all those people that were my colleagues that would say, "You're ruining the music program by introducing mariachi music." that type of music is not acceptable in the public schools. And I said, why not? And they said, because it's just not acceptable. It's not the classics, and it's just not acceptable for our students. And I didn't stay there. It didn't stay there. Because I went to Lanier High School and then went on to Our Lady of the Lake and graduated as a music major, music education. I was able to teach in the public schools, and I couldn't understand why we didn't have mariachi music like we have jazz, like we have the choir. And I love the choir because I am a choir director. Why not put it as part of the music program? And I had a wonderful principal that took me from middle school, from the elementary, and said, you know what, I like the idea of you starting a mariachi at Lanier High School. And I didn't know how the students were going to react, because remember, at that time, no one understood what type of music this was. But they understood, they enjoyed it, and we started with one high school, Lanier High School, and then I was asked to go and be a program specialist district-wide for the San Antonio district. And our very first public school in the district was Jefferson High School. And from then on, it took off. We now have over 2,000 or 2,500 schools, universities, middle schools, high schools that have this program in their music program. When I was teaching at a school district, and I'm not naming it right now because it was so unbelievable, I went into this school in elementary, and the principal was wonderful, the superintendent was wonderful, and the only problem I had was with the teachers, and there was only about 10 or 12 of us in that little school. This district didn't have a music program, so the superintendent asked me to teach choir and start the music program, and I did. But I was accused of only teaching songs in Spanish. And that wasn't the case. I had a textbook that was accepted by TEA, which is a Texas Education Agency, that okays, that agrees certain books to be placed in the schools. And I'll never forget it. I used Macmillan McGraw-Hill, and in there they only had 2 songs in Spanish. I think it was El Rancho Grande and Cielito Lindo, which were beautiful folk songs. So I would teach them that, but I would teach my choir, but I would also teach them other songs, German songs, French song, the Italian arias. In the elementary, they were very, very not difficult melodically to sing, and they were put in the book. So I was teaching a German song, an English song, a French song, and a Spanish song. And I put it in my lesson plans. But I was accused of only teaching in Spanish. So, yes, I had a confrontation with the principal. And he says, well, your outline, your lesson plan shows that you're teaching other types of songs. And I said, yes, I am. And I do. And I did. And I said, I can tell you right now, you can ask any one of these students to sing, the whole choir to sing any one of these other songs, and not in Spanish, and they'll sing them for you. Well, they did. That wasn't satisfactory enough for the faculty. So they went and asked the superintendent to come in. And I, too, told him the same thing. He says, well, it would be nice if maybe perhaps you wouldn't teach those songs in Spanish. And I said, you wouldn't want me to teach the songs in Spanish? What about the Frere Shaka, the French? What about the German songs, the English lullabies? You want me to teach those or take them off? And then he said, no, you can teach those, but do not teach anything in Spanish. And at that time I said, sir, with all due respect, I think that's discrimination to a country, to the language. And so he says, well, I'm going to have to take this up higher up. And I assume it was the board. And then he came back and he said, I'm afraid I was right. You're going to do away with the others. With the Spanish, but continue with the others, because you have children that do not speak English, and we're teaching them English through the music. And if you teach them Spanish, or if you sing in Spanish, they are not going to learn English or Frere Shaka, a French song. And I said, with all due respect, sir, again, if I were to do that, the parents, the community can easily come back and attack your superiors and you and my principal for doing away with the Spanish. And again, that's discrimination. And so he says, well, I'll give you an answer tomorrow. And he came back and he said, you were right. We would have our hands full if we didn't let you teach that. I said, I was prepared. I was going to take them to TEA and say, it doesn't make any difference what kind of songs you tell us to teach. If the principal or the superintendent or the board does not like it, do they have a right to take it out? And I was ready. That was challenge number one. Another, when I was teaching at a college, not a university, I was teaching mariachi music, and they put it at 7 o'clock in the morning. Who in the world would want to go to my class at 7? But do you know, I had about 20 students that started it, and they were so loyal, so faithful. And they would be there 6:45. And, of course, no one knew, but every once in a while, I'd bring them tacos or something, you know. I was so in love with the class because they were so loyal to what I was trying to teach them. And that is mariachi music and the singing in Spanish. And they didn't know what they were saying because they were being brought up in the U.S. My students would walk, and I would walk down the hallway, and not one of the professors that were teaching there would say good morning to me. I would say, good morning. And all I would hear was, and that was it. But I didn't give up. I didn't give up. I just felt that I was being led by the Lord. I really felt that in my heart, this was something we needed. And look at it now. That was, and another one was because I was a female. It took a lot. Other singers that would come in, very well-known singers. Pedro Vargas, way back there during before anybody was born, probably. He told me, let me talk to the director, to the manager of this group. And I said, I am the manager. And, oh, no, senora, you're a female, you're a lady. What do you know about music? And especially our music in Spanish. And I said, sir, I have my degree in music and I've studied, and I'm very proud to tell you that I've been their manager for the last 10 years, and everything has been going very, very well. And so he said, no, I demand to see a man. So that's when I asked Juan to come in and tell him that was one thing, discrimination again for females. And he finally was satisfied. Juan told him, no, if you want the music, I'll talk to you about the music. If you want to talk business, then you need to talk to her. So he straightened it out.